So, what's the subject tonight?
I was thinking about how do we kind of like refresh or restart our spiritual life, our Krishna consciousness. Sometimes it goes stale over time. So how can we refresh?
Yeah, you've got a time limit on how long you can stay stale. If you're stale for 28 days, then you could be stale the rest of your life. Maybe you're hoping that if you stay stale, you can mature. Like a piece of cheese. So you have to be looking, when was the last time I had a really powerful experience with my japa? If it was longer than 28 days, then you need to worry. This could be you now for the rest of your life, chanting crummy japa.
Because in my personal experience at the moment, like I'm having quite powerful spiritual experiences, but kind of the material side of things is becoming like, it's not moving and it's a bit stagnant, if you know what I mean. So it's like trying to figure out how to kickstart that. I think it's possibly connected to cultivating goodness, mode of goodness habits, because I think I'm quite tamagoon more than usual.
Well, if you're trying to get your material situation together and the spiritual side is coming together, that's better than the other way around, you know? Definitely better. Because that is the priority. Krishna's saying, just come to me and I'll take care of everything. So we have to connect to Krishna. And then once we connect, and Krishna's got a full grip on us, then he can come in and work his magic. But if we're half in and half out, it's kind of an excruciating situation to be in, because you're not really exploring your full potential spiritually, and you're compromising your ability to deal with the material energy. Because, when you chant extra rounds, if you chant 64 rounds, the material energy just parts to your beckoning. You just kind of touch the material energy and it just falls into place because of the Shakti from chanting the holy name, you know. So it should just follow in the wake of spiritual success. That material success will just kind of shadow it, because that's Maya. So wherever Krishna is, Krishna's shadow is Maya, you know.
Yeah, I was listening to the Vyasa Puja talk with Shiv Ramaraj, and he said you can't underestimate how powerful the Maha Mantra is for spiritual things, and if necessary for material things. Like even materially, the Maha Mantra can bestow a lot of benedictions.
Well, you get more, if you chant Nama Harad, you get more material benedictions than spiritual ones. And then the problem with that is eventually it becomes a trade-off that Maya's saying, well, look, I'm giving you this because you're chanting offensively. If you start chanting offenselessly, then I'm going to have to withdraw my little boons that I'm offering you. But if you go down this road and you maintain your offensiveness, then maybe we can bring you to the point where you don't need to chant at all, because I'll look after you so well in the material world, you know. And then we become enticed off the path for all these different facilities that Maya's offering. Like the heavenly planets, isn't it? You do a bit of piety, a bit of sakama, and then you cash in. Okay, I'm off now. I always wondered that, because if you're going to have to die, then you're not even going to know it's you. You'll just be on the moon planet having a great time for 10,000 years, but you won't remember that you were, this person from Wales or Liverpool. It'll just be like, so how are you really going to? It's like if you put money in the bank, you enjoy because it's you that goes over to the bank and gets it out. But if you put it in the bank and then you die and you come back as somebody else to get it out, it kind of seems a bit pointless in one sense. It's almost like you're a different person, right? Going to the bank, you don't know who that guy was, and you're just taking the money out.
Yeah, I guess it's quite easy to get kind of sucked back into the material side of ourselves, you know what I mean? Like when you're like I guess it's how do you tread the line between the material duty and like and your spiritual duty, but don't go too far into the material, too far into the forest kind of thing.
Well, yeah, the stage of anartha nivritti is you commit and take initiation, and then things that you didn't think were there suddenly surface to the heart, become very prominent, and you philosophically realize, actually, I shouldn't want these things, but you also realize, oh, but actually I really do want these things, and then it's a tug of war with your lower self. That are you going to be able to? So it's a challenge. Can you be sufficiently well versed in the knowledge and sufficiently attentive in your chanting to be able to beat it back, or are you just going to become enamored by it? Bogeshwar prasakta nam tarbrita changes in the minds of those who are bewildered by that. So that bewilderment is what happens in the anartha nivritti stage. Material opulence and facility comes up, and then you start thinking, well, actually, maybe I don't really want to give it up that much, and it's all being laid on the plate, so it'd be ungrateful not to accept it.
So like when you're a brand new devotee, you kind of accept the philosophy wholeheartedly and like think that you've given up the whole material world.
Yeah.
Is that that's pre-anartha nivritti, that stage, or is
Well,
it like
one of the forms of unsteady devotional service is utsamai. So you have this, because you're falsely confident, then you don't chant as attentively and study as attentively as you should, because you're thinking, well, I'm okay, I'm not like him. He's a total, really have to work hard, but I'm cool, I just do this naturally. So you have this utsamai, this false confidence. So because of that, you don't actually apply yourself properly, and therefore the devotional service is unsteady. It goes up and it goes down. It's not come to the point yet where it's of a good caliber, where you're consistent.
Yeah, does that false confidence come about as a result of like offenseless chanting, like by accident? Like they say when you first get someone to chant, they're chanting Namabas. Do you get like a special taste when you first come along, which then gives you that confidence, false confidence, utsamai?
No, that's not false confidence. That's real confidence,
Mm.
because it's based upon you sincerely applied yourself, and Krishna's reciprocating with that, and he's encouraging you. But then he steps back and he says, okay, now I've shown you that I'm real. Now I've shown you that you're not the body. Now I've shown you that this is a genuine process. Now I've given you the faith that Prabhupada is a pure devotee. Okay, now I'm going to step back. What are you going to do with that? So then he puts it back on you, and then you have to reciprocate. You approached me when I was unqualified. Now I'm thinking I'm qualified, so you're going to step back to make me realize that that was mercy that was being shown to me. I didn't deserve it. You were kind enough to do that, and now you're stepping back and you're saying, okay, now I want you to work for it, which is much nicer than just saying, look, I want you to work for it, and if you do, then I'll think about giving you some mercy, because it's tough enough as it is, even when you get the mercy, to do it, to apply yourself. But how the heck are you going to do it? It's like people that are following other religions. How are they really going to be able to apply themselves to the extent that they need to get that reciprocation directly where God reveals himself? The whole process that they're engaged in is so compromised and so watered down, that they're not even going to get off the starting block. So for us, Krishna's saying, I'm going to give you this inspiration, and I want you to maintain that confidence. So he wants you to be enthusiastic, and he wants you to endeavor with confidence. But then he's asking you to do that now. He does it in the beginning to encourage you, and then he steps back and says, okay, now you be enthusiastic, you be confident. I don't know whether I really want to do that, which is really ungrateful, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder what's the difference then between utsamai, false confidence, and utsaha, like the real enthusiasm. How can we make sure that we're being correctly enthusiastic. You know?
Well, false confidence is that you slacken off. You're doing well, and then you think, actually, I'm pretty cool, you know. And so you don't apply yourself, and you just think that's always going to be there because I'm special, and then you realize, wow, I was just getting shown some mercy, and then Krishna shows you, actually, you're not very qualified at all. You just got that as some special mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay. Wah, wah, wah.
It's quite nice though, because over the years, enough of those experiences of Krishna giving you mercy, you get in false confidence. You know, like you start to really develop a relationship with Krishna, and you can see how he's working with you the whole time.
Yeah, it doesn't have to degrade down into false confidence either.
No.
It could be that you get it, and like Gauri Devi Dasi, there's a book called Nectar of Book Distribution, and she's saying in there, the challenge is to do really well on Sankirtan, and then to understand that was Krishna's mercy. That's how you pass the test, so that you can do well again on Sankirtan. Otherwise, you'll do well on Sankirtan for a certain period of time. You become intoxicated and puffed up about the whole thing, thinking it's you. And then Krishna steps back, and then you lose the ability because your confidence was false. You know?
Yeah, but I guess it's enough if you stay in the fire long enough, if you keep practicing Krishna consciousness long enough, then Krishna, you can see how much Krishna is like kind of interfacing with you. So it's like whether you do the right thing or the wrong thing, still your faith is increasing. You know, like your connection to Krishna is increasing.
Yeah. If you just stick it out and go through the school of hard knocks and just accept that it's gonna be like that, you know, it's not gonna be utopian. You're not gonna get it right, and you're not just gonna work it out by hearing it or reading it. You're gonna have to work it out by getting clunked on the head 50,000 times. And then you start thinking, actually, that's not a good idea. So the school of hard knocks means you have to have a resilient head that can keep getting whacked and you keep getting back up, you know. But that may be your only option. So you just have to kind of grit your teeth and get ready for it. That this is going to be a tough road home, a rough ride, but I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to push through everything. Keep going, you know.
I guess that's where the patience comes in as well. Like if you just patiently await.
Yeah. That's the difference between someone that's attached and someone that's detached. If you're attached, then you can't be patient because you're expecting a result. And if the result doesn't come, then you abandon the process. And if you're detached, then you know you're doing everything that you should be doing, and it's not what you thought it was going to be. You're not getting the result that you thought. But it's like, okay, well, that's fair enough. But I'm still happy to continue on. You know.
I wonder, how do you know? Because to be attached or detached, you know, it's what Krishna instructs Arjuna: do your duty, but in a detached way. How do you actually know what your duty is, like in any situation?
Well, you have your authority, and there's no point anywhere on the way back to Godhead that you become free from having an authority. It's not that when you become liberated, you're just your own man and you float around the spiritual world like Narada Muni. You have someone that you're under, someone's in charge of your little squad that you're in, the services that you're doing and the rest that you're in. You're following one of the Brajvasis, and so they have somebody under them, and then you're under them, and then so everything you're doing is authorized, and then you know everything's okay, you know.
So I guess because I know I speak to quite a lot of devotees now that work outside the ashram or temple. Is it a good practice to kind of go to your temple authorities and just double check what you're doing in material life is favorable, and you know kind of make sure that it is actually a duty that you can dovetail?
Yeah, it's like we were doing Japa Sangha last night, and one devotee was saying that they're going ahead now into association. And I was just encouraging them that don't initiate anything yourself. Just go with what your mentors and your authorities are saying to do, and allow Krishna to work his magic, and it'll fall into place. But as soon as you become a little bit kind of cocky and decide, I think I'll just take things into my own hands here because I don't really trust that one, and that one's really incompetent, and I'll be waiting around for ages if I have to go through that system. But I like this one, and she seems to like me. Let's just go ahead with this, Then you're in big trouble.
I was talking to Targnath about that, and he said it always ends in tears.
Yeah.
When you take these things into your own hands.
Yeah.
You've seen it many times.
Yeah, because how can Krishna, all it will do will give you such a wrong message, because if it does become, say you do really hit it off, and you're really getting on like house on fire, then that just confirms to you that it's good to be a little bit independent and don't just follow your authorities and be transparent. Like, why would Krishna want you to go away with that type of a message, that type of a lesson, and then you go mislead other people and say you should try doing it like this, So he won't allow that, because he won't. And if you follow what he wants and it works out really nicely, then that gives you faith in him, and then you also encourage other people to also do the same thing.
Interesting. Do you think like kind of the blessings of Krishna and basically the blessings of the authorities is more kind of potent than your kind of astrological material compatibility? Or?
Yeah, there was one devotee, he was in a car crash, and he got covered in strawberries and cream, actually. Collarbone, and he's looking at himself and he wasn't sure what was cobs of flesh and what was strawberries and thinking. Turned out he'd broken his collarbone, and there was a palmist guy looking at his hand, and his lifeline finished just halfway down his hand around the time that the car accident took place. And the palmist said to him, that was the day you should have died, but because you've done devotional service, then Krishna's put you on borrowed time, so you've changed your karma, your destiny. So if it can happen like that, then it can happen with relationships as well. And if we should be thinking, Krishna's got a plan for me, and in that plan, he'll have somebody for me. Maybe the plan is that we get together and it doesn't work out and I become a sannyasi, or maybe the plan is we get together and it's fantastic. I mean, generally that's what Krishna's going to do, because it's a preaching movement, so he wants to show how marriage in Krishna consciousness is something which is, really desirable, and you end up with these amazing children. They're beautifully formed, they've got really nice samskaras, they're very talented, they have all their faculties, the kids are fantastic, and then other people think, wow, maybe I should try this lifestyle as well, and I can get all these different benefits. So that's generally how Krishna's arranging it, to show other people, look, this is ideal society. This is what a man and a woman that respect each other and practice spiritual life, this is how they relate to each other. And this is what happens when you sow seed in fertile soil, and the plants that grow are very strong and very healthy, So then we start walking the talk, we start showing people, well, this is what happens. You end up in this nice relationship, end up with these great kids, everything's great,
What about devotees that they like hear that story? Yes, I'd like that type of relationship. I'd like to have, some kind of Krishna conscious marriage. But there's, for some reason or other, they're not finding anyone. They're waiting for a long time. No one's coming along. They're not really endeavoring themselves. What would you say to that?
Well, if you look at the Varnashram system, 25 years is spent as brahmachari, and then they enter the Grihastha ashram. So we spend 25 minutes as a brahmachari, and then we want to settle down. So it may be, Krishna doesn't want to get you diverted or distracted, so he keeps putting it off for you, And then by the time you do enter into it, you've been brahmachari maybe for 15 years, 20 years. I think I was brahmachari for 20 years. And then all the austerities you perform, suddenly you realize, well, this is really helping me now to control myself in this situation, because there's nobody's watching, there's no CCTV in the house. I'm just here with this female, and we're grown adults. We can decide how strictly we want to follow. So you're not going to stand much chance unless you've been trained at least for 5 years in the brahmacharya ashram. It's going to be very difficult, and it'll be very difficult for both of you, because if you can't control yourself, then she will lose respect. She'll think, oh, I thought I'd married a nice brahmachari. It turns out he's an animal. And then, if by that time you're married, you've got a couple of kids, and then you're married to somebody who's lost respect for you, then that's going to be awkward, isn't it?
Yeah.
So better that you just allow Krishna to guide you along, and if it doesn't work out the way you thought it should, think, okay, well, this must be part of Krishna's plan. He's protecting me so that I don't become embroiled while I'm still in an immature state.
Nice. We started off talking about refreshing our spiritual life. Yeah. I guess one thing that I'm trying to figure out how to do, based on an instruction from Shiva Maharaj, is like to develop a kind of routine that I can maintain for the rest of my life, like for the foreseeable future. Like, how do I, it's like creating habits and rituals, and I guess, yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do that nicely now. I don't know if you have any wisdom on creating a kind of bulletproof.
Well, I do. I have a little puja that I do every day to Lord Nrsingadev, carved out of Siddhabakul, and I have a Sheila from Ahovala, from the pillar that Lord Nrsingadev appeared out of. So sometimes I'll oil them, not very often, unfortunately, but every day I'll do incense and flower, and incense in the evening. So I do that as a little ritual, and then I have a set amount of obeisances that I pay, starting with Mother Ranjanini, then my spiritual master, then Prabhupada, then the 6 Goswamis. And so I have this that I do every day, just as a set thing, a rigid thing, So ritual is like, if it's just ritualistic, then there's a kind of fruitive thing behind it. But if it's being done just out of a sense of duty, then that's mode of goodness, which is what ritual is. That you do this because you do it consistently, and in that way you've made a little commitment that you're going to do this. I'm going to read every day at 3 o'clock. I'm going to read these books, and then I'll learn verses regular. I'm going to chant one extra round, whatever it is that you do, and then you just consistently maintain. In 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, they say that you build up your credibility with yourself, because he was saying 60% of the people don't keep 80% of the promises that they make to themselves. And what that does is it reduces your self-esteem, because you start thinking, well, I made the promise to myself, and I don't really matter anyway, so it's okay, so you undermine yourself. But if you have your rituals and your commitments, and you fulfill them, then you increase your credibility with yourself. You start thinking, actually, I'm quite a good guy, I'm reliable. I do this. I've done this for a long time, and that's good. That's a healthy foundation. That's how you can build your confidence in yourself as well.
So is this something worth meditating on? I guess, is like, how can I create different daily habits which strengthen my confidence and allow me to increase, my spiritual life?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. We lose confidence because we're attached. We want a certain result, and we're worried that we're not going to get it. If you're detached, then you can be quite confident because you're not bothered either way.
Mm.
And it's attachment that causes our hesitancy.
Mm.
And it's when we become detached. And you can't just be detached. You have to cultivate detachment through the acquisition of knowledge. Jnanam vijnanam. What's that one? The Lord purifies the heart of one who hears about him.
Shundatam Swakata Krishna.
Yeah,
Shravana Kirtan.
Yeah, so you do your bit, you bring Krishna to the equation, and he does his bit, he cleanses, and he gives you the knowledge and the detachment. So that's actually what we need to do, is cultivate the knowledge, and then automatically the detachment will take place. But if you're trying to cultivate the detachment in ignorance, then it's a really shaky formula, you know.
What do you think about? Because I was speaking to one devotee and he was saying that, you know, he's created so many offenses and he's kind of gone way off track. So he's thinking that he just needs to restart and become a new Bhakta again. I don't know if you ever hit the reset button on your spiritual life and just come back to basics. It seems like something appealing to me. Bhagavad Gita.
Well, in Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, toward the end, Shiv Ramaji has this imaginary brahmachari who's struggling, and he's taking a fancy to his friend's wife, and then he opens up his heart and he says, actually, I quite fancy your wife. I know I shouldn't, but I'm having these unbecoming thoughts. And then his mentor tells him, okay, you need to be more enthusiastic at the morning program. He just kind of tells him to recommit. And so he starts doing the very same things that he's been doing every day anyway. He starts to really do them properly, really attentively. And then he's able to just break through all the mire. And then he's okay, then he's really happy. And then he's looking to be the brahmachari for the rest of his life. So, so in that way, that's what we have to do. We have to reevaluate. We have to measure ourselves. Am I there? Am I enthusiastic at the morning program? Am I really studying the books? Am I really working hard to serve Krishna?
It's kind of like some people, they renew their wedding vows after a certain amount of years because it's gone stale. I guess you could do that with your kind of Diksha vows as well, and kind of reaffirm the commitment again.
And you don't have to have a banana in your hand to do that, you know. You could just decide that you are going to do that. You could have this picture of your Guru Maharaj, and every day or every year you could say, thank you for accepting me as a disciple. I promise to have no illicit sex, take intoxication, eat beyond gamble, and to chant excellent rounds.
Because I had, after I got initiated, I had a dream experience kind of thing where I was just basically with my spiritual master and I was just crying, and I said, I'll never be like these other devotees. They're so much more glorious than me. They're so much more, you know, I was just like crying, like I can't be a devotee. And then like he said, okay, you're ready for initiation. Which was interesting because I was already initiated. So I was like, like the idea that just because you've had the external initiation, you still may not be initiated. So
that's interesting.
Like
that's what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur initiated some devotees, and then 2 or 3 of them left, and they came up and they said, Guru Maharaj, these 3 of your disciples or 2 of your disciples have left, and he said they were never my disciples. So you can go through the formality, but the actual initiation is when you accept that person in your heart and you have full faith in them.
Yeah, it's a deeper thing, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's quite a good kind of reminder to reset sometimes. At least I feel like I'm doing right now.
We have days in the year when we write our Vyasa Puja offerings to Srila Prabhupada and to our spiritual master, when we can take stock of ourselves and look at what's the trend. Has the trend been good over these last few months, or am I starting to spiral down? So we have to look at that. We have to keep an eye on ourselves, you know.
Yeah, I guess all the festival days are kind of like little milestones. What was I doing last Nishinga Chaturdashi?
Yeah. yeah. And the festival days are when you know, when you get it's like when you go to the Dham, you get all this reciprocation from the Dham. If you've been working really hard and you've been preaching really hard, you go to the Dham and the Dham's like giving you so much mercy, you know. And then suddenly, at one point, it stops, and you realize, oh, okay, I've outstayed my welcome. I need to go back to the West now and accrue some more brownie points, so the Dham will be pleased with me again. So festivals are like that as well. And what happens, unfortunately, sometimes is devotees are in the Dham and it's like so nice and thinking, wow, why do I want to go through all the hassle of going back to the West? I'll just stay here. Or why do I want the hassle of full-time service? I'll just be a festival man. I'll hang around for all the festivals. I'll go to all the far-out things that are taking place. And then the rest of the time, I'll just be making money and being a nonsense.
I definitely noticed that going to New Raj Dam, because here in Wales we're just serving we're serving Goran Thai, and we're in the mood of preaching and so on. But you know, they say that by worshipping Lord Chaitanya, you're worshipping Radhe Krishna there, and we just experienced that, a lot of us, like very powerful.
And you have a relationship because of that.
Yeah. Really special.
That's a good realization to have. Yeah, that's nice. And one of the things that trips devotees up, like there's one devotee we've got here, and they're quite immature, and they're really wanting to go to India. And we've seen in the past, if devotees go when they're immature and they're sentimental, they can start thinking, wow, this is so much easier, let me just stay here, you know, why go back? And when they do come back, then it can affect them in a way that they don't really ever want to apply themselves, because they're thinking, oh, I found a cheap and easy way to get the mercy. So it means I don't really have to work that hard to apply myself. That's the way some immature devotees can take it, you know. That's a danger.
Yeah, it is, because the Dham is so special. Like I was just, especially New Raj Dham, the way how pucker it is, how like highly cultured everyone is there, and respectful and well dressed, and Radhe Shyam deity worship so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then Shiv Maharaj was given the class, and he said that in Kali Yuga we're like the rotten fruits. This is what you said. You've been saying this for years, right? So we need Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda to lift us up, so that we could potentially like associate with these New Raj Dham saintly, godly people. You know what I mean? Like at least speaking for myself, like without Goran Thai's mercy, then there's no chance. I would hate New Raj Dham. Like it's too pucker, it's too nice, you know?
Yeah.
So some mercy. We've got to serve Goran Thai.
Yeah, that Radharani deity is very, very special as well. She's so alive, you know.
Oh yeah.
So
I was looking at them after, because there was the class about the love letters between Radha and Krishna.
Yeah.
And on the Sunday night, and then the Monday morning, I was just taking darshan and just thinking, like, kind of struck me like, oh my God,
I've lost it. It went laggy. So we say the whole thing again.
Yeah. No, it's just because Shiv Maharaj gave the class about the love letters between Radha and Krishna, and that was the Sunday night. Then the Monday morning we were taking darshan, and it just kind of struck me like, oh my God, these two personalities love each other. Like they really love each other. They're stood next to each other, and they're completely in love with each other. You know what I mean? They're not looking at each other, but they're in love with each other, and it just was very like, wow.
Yeah.
There's so much love.
It's the idea. I was thinking of today. The conjugal is the highest. It's the essence of reality, really. And I was just thinking, you know, it's those girls that like the romances, you know, the romantic films, and the guys think, oh, you're just being soppy, you know, and they're really attracted to that. But the fact is that when the man falls in love with a woman, he kind of disconnects from anything else. That just becomes his reality. The whole meaning of his life is just to be with this woman, just experience her love for him and express his love for her. And everything just kind of falls away. That just becomes the all-consuming reality. I don't care about my parents. I don't care about my I want to be with you, and I just want to experience this love, and I want to express it to you and have you show me that love back, you know. So that is the essential, the Adi Ras. That's what Radharani and Krishna are doing, and everything else is to assist that. It's expanded out and ended up in all kinds of weird and wonderful situations, at least for some of them anyway. And what was the whole reason for us coming into existence in the first place? And what is that reality that we're a part of, that we're supposed to assist in? And it's their loving affair, you know.
Yeah.
And Srila Prabhupada said, they're always dancing, and if they were to stop dancing, then it would be the end of the entire creation.
It's amazing.
So, but they are always eternally dancing. They're so joyful. They're just Tunde Tandavali. Tundavali Labde. Tunde Tandavali. So Tunde is the tongue, and Tandavali is the dancing. So we want them dancing on the tongue. And therefore Tandavali, we want many tongues. Labde, we want to attain many tongues, because we want them to keep dancing, and we want them to dance on our tongue. I mean, that's an amazing way to experience. Like if you sing to people that are in love dancing, then what better way to get involved than have them do the dance on your tongue? It's very intimate, isn't it?
Amazing.
I mean, you're very aware that they must love each other so much. So then you would want many tongues to help facilitate it, to assist many ears. And then Chaitya Prangana, when they're in the courtyard of the heart, then everything else becomes in there. You lose touch with everything else, basically. That just becomes the all-consuming reality, you know.
Yeah. Vamsi was reading from Navraj Mahima to us, and Shiva Maharaj was like imploring devotees to visit Radhe Shyam in Nivajdan on a festival, and he was saying that the form of Radhe Shyam increases the flavor of the Maha Mantra, and the Maha Mantra increases the flavor of the form of Radhe Shyam. And he said that devotees will get into a state where they can't figure out if it's the form which is so blissful or the mantra that's so blissful, because they're constantly and you experience that in those mega kirtans. Like Radhe Shyam just become like the center of the entire universe for that room, like the way they're presented above everyone, and it's just like you really get a glimpse into that their love for each other, and how that just like pours out of them into the whole room when everyone's engaged in Sankirtan. It just feels like the whole universe is in that room, like it's the most important place in the universe. And just to experience that is like unfathomable, really.
You get the feeling as well that if you left your body, you'd be there, you
know. Yeah, because the mind is completely long gone. Your problems are nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
You're just chanting with the devotees and just you lose everything. You just
when you're having those experiences, you need to etch on the inner wall of your psyche in bold letters that there is no problem if I can experience this. So my only problem, there is no other problem other than the fact that I either am or am not experiencing this. If I'm experiencing this, then all the other problems, they actually pale so much into insignificance that you're struggling to try and remember what it was. You know, something that was an insurmountable, such discouraging obstacle that you were seriously contemplating giving up Krishna consciousness, and now you can't even figure out where it was. So you think, you think, okay, I'm going to have to really remember this, because the next time it hits me, I want to flick back to this memory and realize this is just all illusory.
Yeah, it makes you think that like worrying about your rituals and habits, like it's that even that seems kind of like less important. Just when you just start actually talking about.
Yeah, it's like an intermediary step, but the best thing would be that you become so convinced that that's the ecstasy that you need to achieve, and then all the problems will go away. So I need to focus on that, and I have to become convinced that I can experience that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't just have to wait until a particular festival day in a particular location, but that I can proactively invoke that consciousness anywhere, anytime.
I'm just thinking of the Vyavasat Makabudira verse. Like, just having that experience makes you want to lock onto it. And if you're locked onto that goal, then I guess these other things should become natural. You just naturally take care of business to get to that. You know?
Yeah, you need to keep them as well. Tony Benn, when he got married, he asked his father for some advice, and his father said, "Do you love your wife?" And he said, "Yeah, I love her like anything." He said, "Okay, take some of that love and put it in the bank, because you're going to need to withdraw it later on." So it's the same when we get a really powerful Krishna conscious experience, put it in the bank and put it somewhere safe and secure. And then when you need to make a withdrawal later on, when you're not feeling very blissful or ecstatic, that's when you need to withdraw it. Anyway, we have to work it out. It's great that we have, now that we've been around for 40 years, 50 years, we have much more resource to access than the devotees in the early days who didn't even really know what they were taking on or how hard it was going to be. And we're more aware of it. And every time a living entity from ISKCON goes back to Godhead, that's another person in the eternal realm that knows about this movement here on this planet in this Kali Yuga. And that's really helpful, having friends in high places.
You know, I was thinking that in the Dham, like, some of these devotees, if they just look at you, it's a complete blessing. You know what I mean? Like, if they look at you and think about you, it's like you're in the mind of a pure devotee. It's like, so just being in the association of devotees is really valuable, you know?
Yeah. And being aware of devotees that have gone back to Godhead, that you had a relationship with, that you can pray to, that know who you are. Because we prayed to Rupa Goswami, but we went, you know, he wasn't with us a couple of years ago on Sankirtan, was he? Whereas now we've got devotees that are going back to Godhead that we've had association with. So when we pray, we're praying to somebody that we know. That's powerful.
Radhe Krishna, Radhe